Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelly and I am going to be reviewing in a non-spoilery way Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare. This is the third book in the Last Hours series, and so it is the conclusion, and I've already read this with Chris Reviews. So I want to explain a little bit. These are the children of the characters from the Infernal Devices series. So you do need to really read the Infernal Devices trilogy before you read the first two books. And of course, this third book in the Last Hours trilogy. The first book in Last Hours trilogy is the Chain of Thorns. Second one is Chain of Iron, followed by this one, Chain of Thorns. Cassandra Clare, what I like about her writing is that it is so... her use of vocabulary is so beautiful. She doesn't use a lot of what we would consider curse words, especially in her Infernal Devices and the Last Hour series. She uses the language of the time. There wouldn't have been a whole lot of cursing back then. And I love the research that she's done on London, what London was like back then. It is really so well done. I love the world building. I love all of these books. Now, you might be wondering, can I skip the Mortal Instruments and the Dark Artifices? I think it will enhance your experience if you read those series, but you definitely do not have to read those two series to read the Last Hours. You definitely need the Infernal Devices first, though. So I loved that good wins over evil in her stories, and that although evil might win for a time, love triumphs. And I love the friendships in the stories. There's always at least one pair of Parabatai warriors, which these are warriors that they train together and they are bonded together spiritually, and they are stronger together than apart. It is not a romantic bond in any of the characters. In this case, there have been situations where it has become, but they're not supposed to be romantically involved at all. And in this story, it's just such close, wonderful friendships. I love how the male friendships are so beautiful without any toxicity in these friendships, and they really care for each other. And then, in so many fantasy, especially YA, the females a lot of times will have this really nastiness of jealousy towards each other. And while the females in the story do have their struggles at times with each other, they aren't a yucky, like, ugh, this is just yucky, toxic. It's a beautiful friendship. So I love that. And I love the found family feel, that the friends are a lot of times just the family that you choose. So it's just wonderful. A lot of the characters are related in the story, but even those that aren't, I really enjoyed how a girl that in the story that we just did not like, she was doing some bad things and she was controlling one of our main characters, how she does get justice in this story, but she also is forgiven, and her life begins to have meaning and purpose in other ways. Of course, in all of Cassandra Clare's stories, I ship the main characters like crazy, the main romance like crazy. I don't usually have that much interest in the side character romances. I don't know why, but I do have interest in the side characters as people. She always has such interesting, varied characters. I love that. Now, getting to the things that I may not have liked as much, I do wish that we did have a little bit of a love triangle going on, and I actually didn't mind it that much. We had a little bit of a miscommunication going on, and actually I didn't mind it that much. Cassandra Clare used those tools pretty well. I usually hate both of those things, so that was kind of medium, slight dislike. She used it well for her story. I do wish that the parent generation from the Infernal Devices had been fighting alongside their children a little bit more. What I will say that really bothers me, and this happened in her third book in the Dark Artifices, Queen of Air and Darkness, probably the most, and it's been sprinkled throughout the three books in this series, the Last Hour series. Too much heavy physical petting and some sexual activity with the kids. Now, if you want to go 15 seconds ahead in just a moment, I'm going to say something slightly spoilery. So starting now, there is a married couple in here that does consummate the relationship. They are the one that does. But do we need teens to see a line that says, I can take your dress off quick or slow? Which one would you like? Okay, spoilery stuff done. So I understand that these teenagers in this story function more as adults, but this is not an adult fantasy that just has teenagers in it. This is targeted for teenagers. This is marketed for teenagers. This is in the YA adult section. And even though we call it young adult books, the intended audience is teens, and they are not young adults. They are, in fact, children. So my question is, what is the purpose of putting sex in books for teens? Is there a good reason for a teenager to ever have sex? And do we want them to really put a lot of their focus and energy? I think that there are times and places where they might learn a good lesson if you include a sexual scene, if it's not graphic. I'm not saying this is smutty. I have a personal conviction as a Christian that I flip a page if there gets to be too sexy of a scene. I don't feel comfortable reading about other people having sex. And I don't expect all books to conform to my morals, because I realize that the society as a large doesn't necessarily consider, your first sexual experience being when you have consummated your marriage, and that is when that has happened. So I understand that, and I don't expect all of society to conform to my beliefs. But in the case of teenagers, what benefit is it to have sexual experiences? Now, again, I don't think anything actually smutty was being written about, except maybe a little bit too much heavy petting. I am just putting my opinion out there. I might in the future get my Cassandra Clare books at the library instead of purchasing them myself. I always will love her. I started reading Cassandra Clare when I had a little baby while I was feeding my baby, I'd read Cassandra Clare, and I got my husband and a couple of other friends in town, and my sister has a dog named after Clary, which is the main protagonist in Mortal Instruments series. I'm not trying to dog Cassandra Clare, but I think that we need to have these conversations, because I don't think that sex for teens is something that we really need a whole lot of. What do you think? If you disagree, I'm totally okay with you telling me that, as long as you're kind and polite in the comments. If you agree with me, I'd love to hear about that too. But let's talk about the other things I loved about this book as well. Let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, I hope that you read a lot. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.